Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Before taking any questions, just wanted to provide a couple of health updates. First of all, on the minor league side, Heston Kjerstad, who was returning to baseball activities and strength at our spring training complex in Sarasota, unfortunately has experienced some recurrent inflammation with his heart, and so that is slowing down our plan for his return to play. This is still a situation that I feel will be a matter of time, and he's putting a lot of work in. He's very determined, but this is a bump in the road. It's as I've said, a tricky condition. It's a very serious one that requires us to be careful and deliberate. But I do expect this will back up our timeline for getting him back on the field, and is it's something that we probably can't put an artificial timeline on, and we're going to have to provide some further rest before re-entering a return to play protocol once again. Additionally, DL Hall, after his most recent start, experienced a little more than normal soreness in the back of his elbow, posterior elbow, kind of near the tricep muscle. It wasn't too serious, but given the way that we're being careful with our pitchers, had an MRI. The MRI was clean from a structural standpoint, no structural injuries or anything serious to worry about, but there was some tendonitis and some inflammation. So we'll pull him out of the rotation, let him rest for a couple of weeks, and in several weeks start to build him back up and return to the Bowie rotation here in good time. Lastly, Chris Davis's rehab from left labrum, hip labrum surgery continues to go well. He's been building range of motion and strength with his lower body, with his hip and his leg and lower back, and continues to make good progress there. And we're in the process of ramping up his rehab. He is now in Baltimore, and will have close cooperation and access with our medical people, and it's probably a timeline where he's able to return to baseball activities in the late August, early September timeline. And as that comes, we'll take it as it comes and decide where the best location for his rehab is there. But he's making good progress, and we'll be working to ramp him up here for the next couple of months of summer.
We can go into questions now. First up is Rock Kabako.
Like Brandon was talking yesterday about the MLB memo that went out about the foreign substances on the ball and all the punishments. What are your feelings on this, and are there concerns about the extent of those punishments, the 10-day suspensions, not being able to replace a player on the roster, things like that?
I don't think we're concerned, because we want to see a level playing field when it comes to this issue. We've talked to the league, both as a group, the managers as a group, the general managers as a group, over the last 2 days, and then today, Brandon and I kind of one-on-one with the league, just met and answered questions as we're doing with all 30 teams. And I can tell you this is something that we're really happy that it is happening. I think the approach that the league has set out is the only one that's going to work. I know that there are a ton of players that are very happy about this and want to be assured of a level playing field. So I think that we like the policies, and something that we're going to take really seriously as well.
Next up is Nathan Ruiz.
Mike, there was a report last night about some housing situations with your players at AA. Do you have any update on that and just what you guys are doing to make sure that all those players are taken care of?
Thanks. Yeah. First of all, I saw the tweet. I wouldn't call it a report. It was a tweet with some reference to hearsay, and the information in there was not accurate. I can assure you that all of our players in Bowie have accommodations, all of our players, and it can't verify anything that was in there based on that. But this is actually a topic that I think all of us in the organization have been very proud of. The approach from the organization so far, especially in this coronavirus period of time. I mean, we have kept all of our scouts and coaches on staff, on payroll. We kept paying the minor leaguers last summer. And actually, if you scroll down in the tweet, we were receiving praise a couple of weeks ago for being one of the few teams to extend some extra accommodation funding into this part of the summer. And we've been making a lot of strides in this area. We're providing extra buses this year, a lot of extra funding across player development year over year. So our players did know and continue to know that we're available to them should they have any type of hardships arise. That does happen from time to time, and we handle them quietly from time to time. And we're here as a resource for them. We're here to help them. But with all that said, this is an area that has industry-wide gotten a lot of attention the last couple of years. There's a big reorganization in the minor leagues. We're continuing to evolve. We're continuing to fine-tune the way that the industry invests in player development and just approaches the whole thing and the way the industry thinks about it. And we're going to continue to listen and look at stuff as we go along, and so we will continue to do that as well. But we've talked to our players before and since that tweet, and we're making sure that they have what we need. But it's something that we're going to continue looking at and continue to take into account.
Just to follow up, if I can, you mentioned extending the payments into the season, and that's obviously more than a lot of organizations done. But what reason did you guys have or see to stop the payments into the season?
Well, this has been the practice. I mean, we've increased our payments in this space year over year, and this year was an advancement of that. So this isn't like anything new where we're stopping something. We've worked hard to provide very affordable options. This is while the team is home. It's not for road trips. There are different living options. The coronavirus aspect has put a kind of a wrinkle on what are the normal options because of some new restrictions and just less availability of host families. But yeah, this is an area that we're evolving in as an industry very, very fast, and I will continue to look at it, and we'll continue to look at it. But in the short term, we're making sure that on an individual level, our minor league players are going to be in a healthy, comfortable spot wherever they are up and down our system.
Dan Connolly.
Mike, a couple quick follow-ups on that overall situation. I mean, first of all, are you aware of how many Bowie Baysox actually utilize the hotel versus having apartments or whatever they have their own arrangements? Also, secondly, what is the situation now with host families, not just with Bowie, but overall, if you can kind of address that? And third, did you hear anybody come to you at all about guys talking about sleeping in their cars, or is that simply something you just saw from the Advocate's tweet?
No, there was no brought to my or our minor league staff or our coaching staff attention of anyone considering sleeping in cars prior to this tweet. These guys this has been a topic the last couple of years. You know, their ability to make ends meet, honestly, during the season. It's been an ongoing topic. That's why Twitter accounts like the minor league advocates are popping up. That's why we're going through kind of the reimagining of player development that's been going on the last couple of years. We would never allow a situation where someone is not safe. I don't know the number of hotels. We've got, I want to say, 2 players on the Bowie roster that have their own RV and they stay there. We've got probably most of the team in hotels. There's some that are in apartments, some are married, some have girlfriends. Usually the host families are more of like a lower level thing because they're younger players, less likely to be married, making less. So it's less prevalent in AA and AAA, and it's usually a minority. I'd say most of the guys in Bowie are hotels. And there have been changes this year where vaccinated players are not allowed to room. And now that we've got a lot of vaccinated guys, it is okay to go back to roommates. So we were preventing them from rooming at all the first month and a half of the season. Now we have roommate setups, and in Bowie in particular, we have options that are we know to be toward the top of the league in terms of viability for these guys, and it's something that we've been told we're at the upper end of the league on, both in our policies this year and some of the particular options that we've been able to make available. So we'll keep looking at it, but I feel very strongly that we were in a good spot relative to the rest of the league on this topic, and we will continue to make sure that that's the case, if not more so.
Next is Steve Molesky.
Mike, how do you balance a situation where fans, many understand the rebuild, they know the patience that's needed, at the same time they get frustrated by losses or poor play at the major league level? Is that something that you think about or get concerned about?
I think about all the time, and this is, again, I will be a broken record. This is not an easy thing to go through, and it's not something that you want to get into. We were brought in here, and this organization was refreshed and rebooted with a lot of new people because we were starting in a really tough spot. We had a 115 loss season in 2018. We were not participating in some very fundamental areas of investment the rest of the league has. We're in a ridiculously competitive division, and we had a lot of work to do to set the organization up for success. And we put a lot of that work in. I think our infrastructure, internationally, front office wise, player development wise, is in a way better spot, and the level of talent up and down the organization is in a way better spot. And you're seeing that with results and analyst perspectives in the minor leagues, but you're also seeing some young first and second and third year big leaguers on this team really blossom into stars as well. So we're moving forward. I wish that there was a quicker and surer and an easier option in this for the Baltimore Orioles to get back to the playoffs, especially in our division, to get back to the playoffs. But I know that there isn't. I'm going to continue to do what is right and necessary and disciplined to get us there. It's not going to go perfectly. I'm going to make some bad decisions. We're going to have some bad luck. We're going to have some good luck. We're going to have some good decisions. And we want our approach to be sound so that over time, with all these little decisions we make over and over and all the things that happen, we come out ahead, and we're moving along there. I don't know of any other way to approach this and have it work than to build the talent up from the bottom of the organization all the way to the top, to set up our scouting, player acquisition, player development infrastructures to feed this team in this, honestly, the way the team we're playing tonight does. I mean, they year in and year out sustain a very competitive roster with often a very low payroll and sometimes a high payroll, depending on their cycle. And they've got a great international program, and they've got a great player development program, and they have very vibrant infrastructure up and down the organization, a lot of harmony up and down the organization. This takes time in baseball. I'm very focused on doing it. I don't think that anyone else could be approaching this a different way that is viable, that is realistic, that would be successful. And so I'm gonna keep working on it. And I watch the games every night, and I feel the same frustrations that the fans do, but I want them to know that this will ultimately bring us to a very good spot, and a spot where I am hopeful we will put ourselves in the position to be like the Indians.
Next up is Rich Dubroff.
Hey, Mike, can you clarify Brandon Hyde's status? Are you contractually obligated to bringing him back as manager in 2022?
I'm not going to be the one to spill anyone's contractual status in baseball ops. I mean, it'll get out on a number of employees, and when it gets out, maybe I'll comment or no comment about that. But I don't see any benefit to me revealing the contractual status of the employees in baseball ops. I will say that I hired Brandon. We handpicked him for this job because of his skills, because of the relationship that we felt, because of his references, because of his broad perspective across baseball operations, from the dugout all the way to the Gulf Coast League and everything in between. And he is a partner with us in this multi-year project. We all knew this would be a multi-year project. We knew there were going to be some rough years. He is not being judged on the where we are in the standings in 2021. He's got a lot of interaction. He and his staff have a lot of interaction with a lot of corners of our baseball operations department as we build out this entire organization. And all of that, I couldn't be happier with. So I'm looking forward to getting back to the playoffs, and hopefully all of us are still here together for that.
Joe Trezza.
Mike, just to clarify with Chris Davis, a few months ago you said he was going to be out for the season. Now you're saying baseball activities possibly in August. Is he still out for the year, or is there a chance that he comes back down the stretch at some point?
Yeah, it would be impossible for him to play Major League Baseball before the end of September. He's going to be, by starting baseball activities, I mean like swinging a bat and throwing a ball on the grass, and that's probably going to be right around September 1st. So from that to rehab assignment to at bats to running, all that, there's a long way in between there.
Next up is John Mioli.
Mike, on Heston Kjerstad, you said you're not going to put any artificial timeline on it. And this is obviously a health issue before it's a baseball issue. But is there a level of concern that this reoccurring and just the general seriousness of it could impact whether he can play baseball again, period?
I think the whole thing has been a concern. I mean, it's a heart condition. Again, I'm going to be really careful. I don't want to be the one talking in depth about the medicine of this. I'm very respectful of the player's space there, and it's a serious thing. But I look at this. We've had some bad medical scares here very recently, and there was another player in the league that had a condition very similar to this one very recently. And these guys are young, they're healthy, they're very determined individuals, and they have world-class healthcare at their fingertips. And we're pushing, every button that we can push. So I think that, his odds to return are very good in that respect. But to have anyone, let alone a high draft pick like this, miss this amount of time, it's obviously been a bummer. But he's he first and foremost is what we're thinking about, and rushing this along for baseball or pushing through medical recommendations for baseball. That's just not going to happen.
We have time for one final follow-up from Joe Trezza.
Mike, just to follow up on that, without getting into the conditions specifically and just looking at it from a draft perspective, do you view it as something that could have been detected earlier? And was this, an area that maybe that there was a little oversight involved in now that you look back at that draft?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's just, it's a bad piece of luck and bad news that happened to this kid. And it stinks for him. And we're going to help him through it, and he'll get through it. He's proven really how tough he is through this. And, I've been amazed here recently at one of our other teammates, what he's been able to do. And I view this the same way.